through an easy pass, blasting Black Sabbath, driving to Manhattan on a head full of...
I'm GDP. This is 10 questions with Formatic Films clothing.
So by the time I'm at the club, I'm sobered up, rambling on while some freelancer pretends to be familiar with my catalog. Where you from? What's orange? Describe your style retarded. What's the hip-hop scene like on the East Coast these days? Hot garbage.
Genuinely depressed person. God doesn't pray. Groupies drinking piss. Guns, drugs, pecans. Favorite touring moment. It's hard. It's like picking a favorite child or something. My favorite touring moment, I guess, are those shows you play where it's like you don't really have any sort of like idea how they're gonna go, and you get there and it's just like awesome. Especially after a long drive. Sometimes, you know, you end up going to cities and places that you're kind of like, I don't know what the fuck this is gonna be, and then you get there and it's like, oh. One time, actually, right here it goes. We got stranded in Virginia, and I got a rental car, and it was down to, I was either going to play at the South Carolina show or the Chattanooga, Tennessee show, because it was like, we couldn't put all that mileage on the car. We had to, you know, drive back to Virginia where we rented the car from, so we could only put like, you know, so much. So we were like, which one should we do? Bumblefuck, Tennessee, some place I never heard of. Like, all right, we'll just do that. And like the whole drive there, like 9 hours there, it was just kind of like, and then we got there and it turned out being like an awesome show, and I've been back there like twice since and like made a bunch of friends there, and it's like one of my favorite places to play, Chattanooga, Tennessee. So that was one of those days. It was just like awesome all the way through, like the show, the after show partying, just all the people we met. The kids were like awesome, and we got like, I mean, like some lifelong friends off like pretty much a gamble, you know, some kid from like the internet that I didn't really know what was gonna happen. That's kind of the best part of touring anyway. It's like the new friends that end up, you know, having some of the most like memorable experiences of your life, and it's because of like how you meet them that kind of makes it that important. You have those nights where sometimes, personally, it's like when it doesn't sound good. I don't really give a shit if no one's at the show, but if it sounds bad, it's just like, fuck. And you know, a lot of times you have those long drives and moments where it's just like, what the fuck am I even doing? And that happens to me even when I'm not on tour, but touring kind of really brings it out of you because you're just so far from home and it's just like kind of stranded. You've like intentionally stranded yourself somewhere, and it's just like, sounded like shit tonight, and you just kind of, I personally, sometimes like, you just feel like a joke. It's like, what am I really trying to do? It's like I'm putting all this fucking effort into something that is just like, feels foolish right now. Sometimes you just feel a little foolish. You feel a little like you're really making effort to do something that no one really cares that you're doing. That's the worst part. It's just like the mental, you know, the internal like problems that you've come across, be it, you know, from long drives or just fucking bad shows or shows that don't go exactly how you wanted them to. That's a good question. I think that we're all people trying to, you know, live our fucking lives and do what's best for ourselves and for our families. And I think the idea of, you know, breaking it down in like a system of parties and people believe this and believe that is just another like divide and conquer technique that's going to eventually just drive this fucking country apart. You know, it kind of already has been, but it's going to continue to. And anyone who really feels the need to define themselves by such a stupid fucking vague title is a fool. No and no.
Teaspoon of lean, sour diesel ganja, have me rubbing up on anything with a hot butt.
I don't know an awful lot about him, but he looks like a faggot. I don't know, he's gonna fucking, like, I can't wait to see that kid fucking get caught up in drugs, you know what I mean? He's like 12 years old apparently, like, comes from a broke family. It's kind of like, everyone's just kind of like looking at their clocks to like see when this kid's gonna throw his life away. Justin, hopefully sooner than later. Yeah, I mean, what's wrong with it? I mean, what's right with it is that there's a lot of fucking awesome bands coming from around here. I think what's wrong with it, there's a lot of people that kind of just like to play the victim and be like, oh, it's not what it was, it's this, it's so that, where it's like, so do something about it. So book a fucking show, so book a show with bands or acts that you want to see. I think what's wrong with the local scene is like, people like to play the victim and talk about this like, you know, glory day that like, isn't what it was, and now it's like, well, there used to be bands, it was this, and it was so this, but it's like, you know, at the time that you're talking about, there were people back then talking about what it was too. You know what I mean? It's like this perpetual, like, it's not what it was, and we just keep living in the past, when it's like, so fucking do something about it. What's wrong with the local scene is that people don't want to take responsibility for it. They're waiting for someone else to come change it, and then when someone makes an effort to, they got a lot to fucking say. So it's like, all right, so make the change you want to see. You know, that's why it's a local scene. We're not talking about like the scene on a fucking huge scale. It's like, it's your scene, so do something about it. And if you don't do something about it, then shut the fuck up. It was kind of like ever since a kid, it was just like something that like I knew I wanted to do. Like there was gonna be a time in my life where it was like, I'm gonna fucking make rap records like hard. I'm gonna devote all my fucking time and energy into it. And in some ways, it's kind of like easy to feel like you could be further along, but in a lot of ways, it amazes me that like anyone even gives a shit to begin with, and I've taken it this far. So it's kind of like you don't really realize what's happening as it's happening. It's not till like later on when you look back and be like, wow, that happened. This is like where I've gotten myself to, and it's like. It feels cool, you know what I mean? I never really like had it planned out for myself where I was gonna be, where I wasn't gonna be. Although all things aside, I'm pretty comfortable about where I am and what I continue to do. And it's like I'm gonna just keep doing it how I want to do it. And if people, more people like it, if less people like it, it's like, all right, try something else. Doesn't really. I'm just doing it because I want to be doing it, and I've been doing what I want to do. And it's, I guess, working. It's worked. I hope. Maybe. If I think it has. So right now I feel like it has, so it has.
Just succumb to the funk. They wanted a remix, gave him a bump.
Are you from New Jersey? And if I could ask two, I would say, then why do you try to act like you're not? If you're from New Jersey, why do you keep talking about Williamsburg like you've lived there all along? That's all. Give it back to the Hasids.
It's like the light bulb blinks when no one's home.
Bobby Caldwell, Carry On, is one of my favorite songs of all time. I think Bobby Caldwell is one of the best singers ever. And I think he's one of the most soulful men I've ever listened to. You know that song?
No idea.
I'll play it for you guys after this.
This is where we'll cut in and we'll play a bit from the track.
Another favorite song of mine of all time is The Man from Somewhere Else in Shape. I have a song called Killer Whale. And I think that is like, someone was like, pick a hip hop song that you fucking wish you made or that I could fucking listen to 1,000 times and still just be like, that song.
Is that off his new album?
No, it's a bit of an older song. I was actually there when they recorded it. It was when C- was living at home, which is like one night, he just made this fucking banger beat and they just kind of started writing to it, and I think Man from Somewhere Else laid down his verse, and then Shape laid down his verse, and Man from Somewhere Else heard Shape's verse. I was like, all right, I gotta rewrite this. And rewrote it, and then I just like heard it, and I was like, oh my fucking God, like this is a song. Like this is hip hop in like everything. Just like the whole fucking rounded picture, 360 degrees of like why the fuck people should be doing this, in my opinion.
Snitches, spit some shit that'll really teach the youngsters. Shoot up.
I plan on settling down when I feel like it's time to settle down, you know what I mean? It's like when you're doing this kind of thing, it's like you really just got to learn to trust your gut and like your instincts. So it's like I'll settle down when I feel like, all right, it's time to settle down. I think I've gotten pretty good at listening to like, the voice inside my head versus like the little things that kind of come to you. You just got to get good at your filter. You learn how to filter it, and that's kind of like when making songs, knowing what to say and what not to, what to use, what not to. It's like you just got to learn to trust like yourself. And, I'll settle down when I'm like, it's time to settle down. I think I'm a lot less scared of that sort of thing than I was maybe a year or two ago. As I get older and just keep experiencing and traveling and doing things, it's like that idea scares me a lot less than I think it used to. I'm working on a record right now called Useless Eaters, which will be out hopefully like fall, winter time in time for like a world tour. That's also in the works right now, and this will be perhaps my most concentrated focus effort ever. I really fucking like everything I write, I really put a lot into, but if there was ever a record that was like, making me as crazy as it is relieving me, the both sides of just like really pulling it out of myself and where I'm at right now, I'm the oldest I've ever been, I'm the most experienced I've ever been, so this will be the most, mature record I ever make, and I feel like I'm going for broke right now. I'm at a point where like I can't just keep fucking living like shit and like leaning on people for help and like, I just gotta fucking either do it or not do it, and it's like this will be the record that will really make or break what I continue to do creatively. And I'm not scared of that. It's just kind of something that I've decided for myself. So Useless Eaters, I just released a tape on Ride the Fury Records called The Magic Bullet Cassette, produced by some very talented boys from Australia, and it's like I just want to tackle every sort of medium, 7-inch, CD, DVD, now cassette tape. The next record will be on 12. maybe I want to do like a 10-inch, done the whole MP3 download thing. I just want to have had GDP on like every sort of way to fucking listen to it. I guess they don't make 8 tracks anymore, so it's just like, once I kind of cross all that off my list, it's kind of like up to the people to decide where I go from there. You know what I mean? I've done what I feel like I need to do as an artist, and trying other things. I always make rap records, but it's like right now I've really put my whole life on hold so I could do it, and we'll see what the future holds if people want me to keep doing that. I kind of always knew that I would be here for the apocalypse. Ever since a little kid, I feel like I had these premonitions that like I would be here to see the fucking world kind of bottom out and swallow itself whole. And I feel like this is just another fucking example of that. I'm here just kind of watching it, trying to document it, make the most sense of it so that people can maybe rethink how they feel about it. You know what I mean? Help people draw their own conclusions about it. And it's just like, you're still gonna fucking put gas in your car. I'm gonna still put fucking gas in my car. So it's like, how could I really feel about it? You know what I mean? It's such a tragedy. I saw Most Def on fucking Twitter wrote like, this oil spill is a much bigger deal than, you know, newspapers are making it out to be, and it's sad. So I'm like, so go make another fucking rom-com about it. You know what I mean? Like, stop talking about it, start being about it, or just don't do either. I'm starting with a line of women's fragrances that'll be douche products. And then from there, I'll start into like the body sprays, and then eventually cologne. Douche, body spray, cologne.
But keep them to yourself. It's NDA approved to make the women yell.
How would hip-hop pay the bills if I was living on an island by myself where there was no money? Hip-hop would pay the bills.
Or if you're rich and millionaire.
If I was making songs that were aimed at 14-year-old suburban kids, well, I guess I already am. So it should start paying the bills really soon.
Another whip hot box. Another cat brought his girlie out to get cock blocked. Sucker MCs.
So that was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.